Hi everyone, this is Jarle from Handmade Cards, Happy Heart. Thank you for joining me today. I will be making a card with the new Pretty Pink Posh release from June. I will be starting with the new Summer Drinks stamp set. It's a small stamp set with lots of sweet cocktails. The sentiment, I took that one from the Summer Read stamp set. And for my dies, I used the Stitched Film Strips die. There are also a few new stencils available in the new release, and for this card I took the circle stencil. Okay, so I already stamped my images on Bristol Smooth cardstock, since I was going to be coloring with my Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers. I actually had to get used to coloring with my markers again, because the last couple of weeks or the last few months I've actually been grabbing my Copic markers way more often than my watercolor markers. So I'd like to explain my coloring a bit. So normally I always use about 3 shades, so a dark, medium and a lighter color, but because the images are quite small here, I only took 2 colors. So I tend to grab my darkest color and then put that in the shadows of my image. And then I blend this out with my water brush or a regular brush. Then I go in with my lighter color and then I blend that one out too with some water. And then afterwards I go back in again with my darkest color and then I blend that out with my lighter color. So and here I also noticed that I went in back again with some water at the end just to blend it out and get even more shading. I kept the colors quite simple, or the color scheme quite simple. I didn't want that many colors on my card now. I actually thought about a more of monochromatic card with mostly orangey and yellowy shades. So my cocktails were orange and yellow, and then for my coconut I took my neutral brown and then went in with a red, orange and a little bit of green also, because of the watermelon, of course. I will list all my colors below because I don't think it's very noticeable in my video which colors I used. So here I'm also showing you my swatches of my Zigs. I think I learned this from Jennifer Maguire in a video. So on my left of my, so on the left column, you can see the actual color there, and then on the right you can see the color with some water added to this. So here I am coloring my coconuts, adding the darkest shades, then blending it out with some water, and then going in with a lighter shade and blending that out as well. Okay, so the coloring didn't actually take very long, since there were only 3 images I needed to color. So here I die cut a few of the film strips, and again I am stacking them on top of each other to create a little bit of dimension on my cards. So I think I have about 5 pieces here, and I adhere them all to each other with some liquid glue. As always, I use my tweezers so I do not have adhesive all over my hands and my fingers, because I'm all clumsy like that. So making sure everything is nicely adhered. For this, I always like to use my liquid glue, because there's always some wiggle room for it. So if it's not stacked perfectly, I can wiggle a bit around like you see me doing here, just to get the perfect stack. Okay, so this is all adhered, so I can put this away for a little bit. Okay, so time to start my ink blending now. I just showed you the colors. I put my stencil in a bit of an angle over my card panel. I think for this one I just used regular Nina cardstock. I didn't use Bristol Smooth for this one. So I showed you the colors I would be using for this ink blend. I am focusing my darkest color on the middle of the card, and then I tend to go a shade lighter when I am blending it out more to the outside of the panel. So I have more an orange shade in the middle, to yellow, and then to yellow-green. I am going over this a few times so I can get a really good blend for this. I went in again here to get a bit of a darker shade in the middle, so the orange could stand out a little bit more. Here I pulled off the stencil, but I wasn't quite happy because the white was a little bit too much. So I kind of went in again with the same colors I used for my circles. So outside I used the Twisted Citron for that yellow-green color. And then I went in with the yellow, I think this was the Squeezed Lemonade, and then the Spice Marmalade, I think, or Dried Marigold. It was for the middle of my cards. Then I also had to blend the background for my cocktails. So here I just used the Twisted Citron again, just to have that monochromatic feel to it. So there weren't too many colors involved in this card. To protect my fingers, I always tend to use a little scrap piece of paper. And then I was finished with my ink blending. So I took all of that aside, cleaned my blending mat, and then I think it was time to start assembling my cards. So here I was thinking about the placement and also the color of my sentiment strip. As you can see on the right, I have a little bag with all scrap pieces of colored cardstock, and that way I can easily see which color I want for my sentiment. So I went in, or I chose an orange color of cardstock, and I stamped my sentiment on top again with Versamark ink. Here I adhered all my cocktails to the little backgrounds of the film strip. I decided to just use some liquid glue for this. I didn't want to mount the background pieces, or I didn't want to mount the cocktails with foam tape as well. So there's kind of more like an inlay design. So just the frame of the film strip is a little bit mounted. I hope this makes sense a bit. I am still not used to making card making videos, so I'm very, very sorry if I still make a lot of mistakes. So here I am adhering the sentiment with a little bit of foam squares because I wanted to pop it up a little bit. The card is almost ready. I took my pre-cut card base and then I scored it and folded it in half. It will be a side fold card. And then I will be adhering my panel to that card base. I decided to just use liquid glue here and not foam tape because I already had dimension on the panel. I think I'm done here. I didn't use my Wink of Stella pen for this. I just checked if there were any borders I needed to cut down, but it was all fine now. So this is the finished card. I hope you like it. Have a great day. Bye.